Hello and welcome to Ask the Expert. Today's guest you have seen performing with the Dance Theater of Harlem, with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and you might have even seen her alongside such legends as John Legend, Alicia Keys, and Beyonce. She could be a pop star herself, but her current role is starring as the director of the dance division of the Juilliard School. Our guest today is Alicia Graf Mack. Hi, Alicia.
Hello, thank you for that lovely introduction.
Well, one of the things that is very important to YAGP participants will be that for the past 10 years, you've also been a guest artist at the YAGP Gala. You have been an adjudicator and a teacher around the world with Youth America Grand Prix, so our participants know you pretty well.
Yes, I've been there from the beginning, actually. Now that I think about it, my younger sister, she competed in YAGP in maybe one of the first years that it existed.
Wow.
So I've seen the organization grow, and I've been part of the organization, and it's been amazing to meet all the young people who have dedicated their time to growing and to finding great sources of education for themselves.
Well, you know, and this is actually one of the wonderful things about YAGP, because for the past 20 years, we've seen dancers compete, then grow to become professional performers, then retire and become teachers, and now they're bringing their students to YAGP. So there's a cycle of people kind of constantly evolving, and you've evolved from first being a performer, then being a teacher, and now hopefully as a scholarship presenter, as the director of the Juilliard School Dance Division. So today, it would be great for our participants to learn a little bit more about the Juilliard School. What are the criteria? What are the things that they could expect? And now that they have a family member sort of at the Juilliard, we can hear it firsthand. So first things first, just you've been appointed the director of the dance division just recently this year.
Yes.
So how's it going?
I was appointed in July, and it's going extremely well. We are now sort of in the middle of, well, towards the end of the semester, and it's been incredible to see the growth of the students, even over one semester. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about our program.
Yeah.
So we are a BFA program, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts, meaning that a lot of the time that the student will spend is actually in practice in the studio. We also have a rigorous academic program focusing on liberal arts. So there's a lot of writing, a lot of communication involved with understanding literature, philosophy, and the world around us. And to tie in the full theme of the program really is about creating an artist as a citizen of the world. And so all the classes, from the dance classes to the liberal arts, really focus on that idea.
You know, it's really cool because as you're talking, I've in my earlier part of my career, I was involved in the PR department of Alvin Ailey, American Dance Theater, and I just remember learning all about Alvin Ailey. And one of the things that really impressed me about, as I was reading about him, is he always encouraged his dancers to study, to read, and go out into the world, because he said unless you actually, educate yourself,
right,
you will have nothing new to bring to the stage.
Well, this is true. One thing that really sets Juilliard apart from many other schools is that we bring very high caliber guest choreographers to work with our students. And they ask them to dive into very difficult and very substantial sort of subject matter with their dancing. And they have to know the world. They have to go to museums. They have to understand art and literature and how to articulate themselves and be able to translate that into their bodies. So we are always encouraging our dancers to discover New York City.
Right.
Which we sit right in the middle of the Lincoln Center campus. And so we are in the mecca of not only the arts and dance world, but we can expose our students to so much of what's happening in our society. Well,
there's so much culture all around. You're literally at the heart of it, like cultural capital, one of them of the world. So, well, the first things, I guess the very first thing that people have to understand is this is not just a dance school, this is a dance/academic program. So you get a Bachelor of Arts degree when you graduate from Juilliard, right?
Yes. So when you graduate from Juilliard, you receive a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree.
And it's a 4-year program.
And it is a 4-year program. So the dancing is quite intense and rigorous. We focus equally on ballet and modern dance training, The dancers every day will have a ballet class, or we split the dancers up on some days between point work and men's class. And they have classical partnering and contemporary partnering. They would also learn then sort of 5 of the foundational modern techniques that we study here are Graham, Lamone, Horton, Taylor, and Cunningham. And so the dancer is really getting to know their instrument in a way that no other school can provide.
Well, you said Taylor, and actually it came to my mind that Paul Taylor is a graduate of the, so
exactly.
Alumni of the school actually go on to found their own technique,
yes.
which is very awesome.
Another incredible part of our program is that we require 2 years of composition class, and many of our students graduate really wanting to be choreographers. And if you know the names Paul Taylor, Robert Battle, Jessica Lang, these dancers are graduates of our program. And I think
Laura
that
Lubovitch also.
Laura Lubovitch, some of the seeds of their choreographic and their directorship careers started here at Juilliard. They have many opportunities, our dancers have many opportunities to generate their own dances here and to present them, so they're constantly in practice, not only performing, but creating dance as well.
Well, talk about the curriculum a little bit. Who are the teachers? What do they teach? What's the day like here at Juilliard?
Sure. So I'll take you through a typical day of a freshman. Yeah. Today, for example, they would have a liberal arts class. Freshmen usually start off with either a writing seminar or a class on ethics, where they learn, they study many different philosophers. And then they would go on to their ballet class for an hour and a half, followed by today then would be a Lamone class, tomorrow would be Graham. And then they have a short time for lunch. We have a cafeteria and a dorm here, so they can go back to their room or they can go get a bite to eat. And then in the afternoon, they would have their first semester of composition, learning all the devices and tools that are necessary to be an effective choreographer. And then they may have an elective, like a yoga class, or we even have a mindfulness sort of meditation class. And then from there, they start their rehearsals, and they rehearse from 4 to 7. So it's a long day.
It's a full day.
It's a very full day.
Yeah.
But the dancers come to it. They rise to the occasion day in and day out with great enthusiasm.
So you balance, mostly it's dance heavy, but there are also some academic, requirements. So
yes.
In terms of, well, you mentioned there was a dorm. Is there, first of all, talk about the range. What is the minimum and the maximum range of people who are admitted to Juilliard?
Every year we admit 24 dancers,
Just
12
24.
men and 12 women.
Okay.
So it's a very highly selective program. Everyone is required during the application process to apply online, and that just includes your basic information and a short essay. And then from there, you would audition live. Everyone will be considered at a live audition.
And you attend the live audition.
I
You
will
select.
be there. We are in 5 cities. We have several audition dates in New York, and then in Chicago, Miami, San Francisco, and Dallas. So we try to get around the country to make it easier for our students to attend an audition. International students, the process is a little different. We require a pre-screening video first, so that a dancer doesn't waste their money flying to New York, say, for an audition.
If they're not up to your standard.
Right. So they would go through a pre-screening process,
right.
And then they would be invited to come to an audition in whatever city is most convenient.
And so what is the age range? Like from when to when?
The age range is about 16 is the very youngest. A high school diploma or GED is required to be here at Juilliard, as it is a college program. And we take dancers who are in their prime that we feel are sort of ripe for this type of rigorous training, 4 years of rigorous training.
And what's the upper range of, past which age would you say you're kind of saying, you're not quite a fit for us? Is there a top?
I haven't come across that yet. We look for young, very hungry dancers who are the perfect fit for what we feel is this type of training.
Got it. And so you also said the dorm. So all 24 dancers live at the dorm.
Yes, the first year dancers, they all stay in the dorms. And then after that, if they decide they want to stay off campus, then they can do so as well.
Are there scholarships? Because I'm assuming, I'm just assuming this is not cheap, So first of all, do you know at all like what the range is in terms of what a year at Juilliard might cost? Do you have scholarships? And if you do have scholarships, are they merit-based or are they financial need-based?
Our program is aligned with, the tuition is aligned with other very top-tier Ivy League sort of schools. And so the price is quite substantial. However, we do really value the fact that any student who is admitted here, we want them to be able to come here, despite their ability to pay. So over 90% of our students are receiving scholarship funds from Juilliard, and then according to their financial need, we offer other financial packages, including federal aid and student loans.
Well, quite frankly, if somebody really comes from a very, not financially well-off family, that will not be a deterring factor for them to enter Juilliard. Okay.
If you are selected to be here, we will make a way for you to be here.
See, that's wonderful. That really is cool.
Absolutely.
And encouraging for lots of dancers. So, and may I just add that besides, your audition tour in the 5 cities, you will also be coming to Youth America Grand Prix to see if any of the dancers might be worthy of your attention for the next academic year.
Yes, and what is really great about my relationship with Youth America Grand Prix is that I see young students, and we do have a summer program.
Right.
And the summer program is for dancers, high school age dancers from 9th to 11th grade. And it kind of gives the dancer a sense, a taste of what a college conservatory program is like, and specifically what our Juilliard program is all about. Right. Many of our faculty teach in the program over the summer, and we also bring in guest artists to choreograph on the students, so they're also getting that sense of training and performance opportunities. And
so the summer program and the following academic year, when is the deadline for that? When do students apply?
So there's an application, an online application. That deadline for the college program is usually at the very beginning of December, and for the summer program is during the middle of the middle of December.
Right.
And so then the students audition in January and February.
And what is the ratio of like U.S. versus international students at the program?
We have about 30% of international students here at Juilliard. It's really heartening to see people from all around the world here, because not only are our faculty representative of many different places and cultures, also the repertoire that we perform is representative of everyone around the world. So it's nice to kind of have a sense.
You're like a little Babylon of dance,
Exactly.
Everyone is welcome. That's great. That's really great. And so I'm just curious, so a dancer comes to a summer program, does that increase their chances of being accepted into a full year program, or is that connected in any way?
Well, it's not connected. However, if you think about having a relationship with a student over a 3-week period, if the same student comes for 2 years in a row, let's say, you see the growth of that student. So it doesn't hurt, but what I think is actually the most valuable aspect of attending the summer program is that the dancer can see if the Juilliard School is a good fit for them, which is really important. It's a dancer investing 4 years of their life into a college program, and that's time investment and money. And so no matter what school a student chooses, they should really want to be there and know that it's the right fit for them.
And so when you audition people, so you first international students submit their tapes if they're good enough, they're invited to audition live. If then you have a tour, or you see somebody at Youth America Grand Prix, you invite them to a live audition. When does that live audition take place?
The live audition takes place at the beginning of February into March.
And that's for the following year.
Yes. So let's take, for example, this year.
Right.
The deadline ended December 1st, 2018.
Right.
And then they will then audition live in February or March, depending on what city is closest or most convenient, 2019.
Right. So basically, first you apply, and you have to do it by December 1. Then if your application is, goes through and approved, and they then progress to being invited to the live audition. And then you attend that live. How many people come to the audition usually?
In each city, anywhere from 50 to 200 students or more. As I said, it is quite competitive in some ways, well, in many ways.
In many ways. Well, it's one of the top schools in the nation, so yes.
Yes, in the world.
In the world, so it should be competitive.
I'll tell you a little bit about the audition process.
Right.
Because we're looking for dancers who have something really special. We're not just looking at someone who's classically trained. We're also looking for someone who has that understanding of classicism, but who can dance and who can move and have something really special to offer to the program. So we start off with a ballet class. They will move into a modern dance class. And then from there, then the students are invited then to learn a little bit of repertoire and be coached. And we'd like to see how the students take in information and how they sort of digest it and then apply it. Then from there, they would present a solo, either choreographed by themselves or by a teacher or a choreographer or a peer. And then there's an interview process. So at each time, then there are cuts made along the way.
And you are present at both the dance audition and you conduct the interview.
I'm there for it all.
You're there for it all. So when you conduct an interview, what do you look for?
I'm looking for someone who shows a great amount of passion for what they do. I'm looking for someone who is articulate, because I find that I want the dancers to be wholly fluent in the way that they move, but also in the way that they speak.
Why is that important?
Why is it important?
Yeah.
Well, in today's dance world, I find that collaboration is very important. In a process where a choreographer is in the room, it's not the same as past generations where a choreographer is just telling the dancer what to do. The choreographer may ask, what do you think about this part? Or let's talk about what's happening here. And I want the dancer to be able to articulate themselves. My thought also is that Juilliard not only produces incredible performers, but they may be dance critics, they may be historians, they may go on to musical theater, they may go on to dancing in the commercial world. There are so many possibilities, and I want to be sure that a dancer is able to
communicate.
To communicate.
Communication is important.
I'm looking for someone who is wholly unique that I cannot find anywhere else in the world. Yeah, we want 24 of the most amazing, different, and incredible dancers that we can find.
So you're looking for dancers who are just as unique as you are, because in terms of a dance career, and if we can shift gears for just a moment from the Juilliard School, which you're now at the helm of the dance division, even if we talk about for a moment about the dancer that you are and that you have been, because as dancers go, you're probably one of the most unique dancer I know, because you're equally at home in the most classical of settings, Dance Theater of Harlem. Then along that range, we have Alvin Ailey, which is both ballet and contemporary dance. Then we have, Alonzo King Lyons. Then we have Complexions Contemporary Ballet. Then we have, Alicia Keys, Beyonce, Andre 3000.
Yes.
So it's such a wide range. Did you, as a dancer, do anything special to prepare for that?
Well, when I was a young person, I was exposed to a lot of different genres of dance. So when I aspired, when I kind of put my mind at what my dream was, although I really wanted to be a classical ballerina, I loved so many other dance forms. So at the school where I trained, Ballet Royale Academy, we really concentrated on classical ballet, but we also had many different electives, so I think that helped to sort of color my palette in many ways. And also, I would come up to New York and take classes at Steps, take jazz classes. At that time, there were no hip-hop classes. I think I'm aging myself, but you know, I took a lot of jazz, and I saw Alvin Ailey as a young person. I just recently found a picture of myself at 10 years old with an Alvin Ailey t-shirt on.
Wow.
You know, so like those little pieces of inspiration, I think, are what carry us into the future. And so I was very grateful to fulfill my dream to become a classical ballet dancer with Arthur Mitchell and his Dance Theater of Harlem. And even within the repertoire that we learned, we performed Billy Wilson's Concerto in F, which had some sort of jazz qualities to it. Dance Theater of Harlem, of course, is a Balanchine-based company where the hips will be off, or you know, you can find really interesting syncopated rhythms within Balanchine's choreography. Those are the seeds of finding different ways of moving, although we were still in the classical realm. And we worked with Jeffrey Holder, who choreographed Dougla, which is performed, you know, you find parallel movement, you find isolations, and the movement is set in a Caribbean setting. And so there is that language there.
Right.
I loved working with complexions because then I was able to explore more upper body movement, moving with more sort of largesse and eating up space. I really learned at complexions, and that carried me into my time with Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. So it was a sort of a linear trajectory, but at the core of who I am, I'm a mover.
A mover.
A mover. If it's physical, if it can touch your spirit, if it's musical, I want to do it.
Then you're in it.
No matter whether I'm in a point shoe or if I have, you know, dancing in bare feet.
Well, and if we're thinking about young dancers who are preparing themselves today for a life in dance, and a life in dance now is a different space than, say, when you were young and just starting out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would be some of the advice that you could give to young dancers now as they're trying to find themselves in this big, wide, scary world of movement, or exciting world of movement, rather?
Yes. I always say ballet, 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 more ballet. Take as much ballet as you can, because that sense of classicism is really important. And it really allows you to know, I always call it the body your instrument, and how to fine-tune that instrument. And then you must supplement your education with modern dance. Hip-hop is extremely important for contemporary dance and sensibilities, and the sense of groundedness and the rhythm, and anything else that a dancer can get their hands on to do it.
Right.
And Youth America Grand Prix is an amazing resource, because all the classes that the competition and then the masterclass series offers, a student can take anything from contemporary to jazz.
Well, and one thing that I think is important to just, one area of inspiration that's very important, that kind of you're an ambassador of, is that you're a dancer of color who has done it all. And if I don't know what success may mean different things, but if you know, your picture could definitely be classified as a picture of ultimate success, because you've danced in so many different styles, and now you're in charge of nurturing the next generation of dancers as the head of probably, as you said, one of the world's most important dance programs. So do you have any sort of thoughts on what dancers of color today could do? Any advice or any sort of reflections on how to succeed today?
When I meet young people of color, dancers of color, first of all, just to be an example, I think it's good to have the inspiration and the image in your head to say, I can, because I had those people in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I admired Virginia Johnson. She was the principal dancer of Dance Theatre of Harlem. I admired Cynthia Gregory, who is not a person of color, but she's a very tall ballerina.
Right.
And that was something that I needed to see, that it's possible, because I'm over 6 feet tall on point.
Right.
To have those people as your blueprint. And there is no barrier. You create the opportunity. I always tell dancers, when you come into a room, there is power in your presence, and you shift the atmosphere when you walk into the room, and you can command the eye, the perspective to change, and that the world is theirs. Right. So it's very easy to, especially as a young person, to see all the barriers. Mm-hmm. But it is our job as educators to open the doors and remind them that they can break the barriers. Yeah, there have been people before us that have done it, and they can do it too.
So for you personally, I mean, you've been gifted with a beautiful instrument. You've been gifted with gorgeous feet, long legs, and just your stature. You've obviously been blessed, you know. And so one might say, okay, it might have been easier for you because of what nature has given you. Mm-hmm. But even so, have you had obstacles in your life? Were there barriers that you had to break down? And if you had difficulties in your life, mm-hmm. what gave you strength to overcome them?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think beyond color, my biggest barrier was my height. Yeah. I can remember attending summer programs at School of American Ballet and American Ballet Theater, and at 13, 14 years old, towering over the rest of my classmates. Right. And to be honest, it was uncomfortable for me, you know, as a young person, to really take on this body.
Were you rejected because of that reason?
No, I wouldn't say I was rejected, but it's very easy
like
to...
if you weren't getting into programs mm-hmm. that you wanted to, was that ever an issue that didn't allow you to do something that you wanted to do?
Sure. You know, I have to say that over the course of my training, if I was not accepted into a program as a young person, I really felt like maybe that just wasn't the place for me. Right. Not that I didn't belong because of color or height, but maybe there was a different path. Right. There was a different plan that I don't know about. You know, I can bring in, I can remember conversations with my mother, who was a brown-skinned woman, very tall woman, and she would say to me, whatever you do, don't shrink. Mm. When you step into a room, if you're the tallest one, then be that tree in the back. Right. And be as proud and as beautiful as you can be. And I think that sense of self really helped to guide my path. And if something wasn't given to me, then either I would say to myself, maybe it's not the time, right. Maybe it's not the right fit, or maybe they can't see past a singular perspective, and I just move right on and right keep on. Keep on trying. I mean, I think that's all we can do. But for young people to know that the world is theirs. And the people who are making the selections, that is shifting as well. And so right. when I go to auditions, when I'm looking at a dancer, I want to see them for their ability and not for their look or outer self.
Well, you know, look, the outer self is also a consideration because it is a visual art. It's sure. An art, you know, it's not, you know, it's like on radio where you don't see the person. This is mm-hmm. on stage where you do, and that's what that's what the audience comes to see.
Well,
so this
is a
big part of it.
What's been really incredible about my career, especially dancing for Alvin Ailey American right. Dance Theatre, is that you have all these different dancers of many shapes and sizes, each of them completely sublime. And I really learned to see a dancer for the gifts that they have that may come in many different shapes and sizes and, you know, the shape and size of the person. I think that's really important because we were all made uniquely.
Right.
And to have a program like Juilliard, it makes it even more rich and interesting and diverse to see many different people, shapes and sizes on the stage.
Well, like you said, it's wonderful that the community of people who are now opening doors for young people, it now looks very different than it was, say,
Yes.
20, 30 years ago,
Yes.
you know. So it's wonderful that people who are now in the position to open doors, they understand what you understand. So this is wonderful news for all the dancers out there. One thing that I think is also would be wonderful if you could talk about is overcoming adversity that specifically has to do with the body, because you personally had a medical issue that forced you twice to stop dancing. And it's, as a gorgeous dancer yourself, you know, you had to literally walk away from the only thing that you knew how to do, that you loved doing, and that was the meaning of your life. So dealing with that and dealing with the limitations of your body, talk about that, what you have learned from that.
Yeah, I have dealt with several injuries during my dance career, and the first one was the most devastating because I grew up wanting to be a dancer and had finally just reached a certain level in my dancing career, and then I had an injury.
And you were in your height of
my
your blossoming
prime,
at
yes,
DTH.
at
you know?
the State of Harlem,
Yeah.
and receiving incredible reviews and
And you had to stop.
traveling around the world, and and I had to stop, and it took me a year, not to recover physically. It took me longer actually to recover physically, but mentally it took me a year to be okay with not dancing.
What has that year taught you?
That year taught me a lot because when I was injured, people would say, "Well, what's next?" And I had no answer. And they said, "Well, maybe you'll be a teacher, maybe you'll be a choreographer." And at that time, at 21 years old, those things were not part of my mind. I didn't feel like I had the right experience or talent even to do that. And so I went to school. I thought, well, I'm still young, and let me go to an undergraduate program and be like a regular girl with a backpack on and have a boyfriend and do all of the things that I had never, like, have a social life. I'd never had those things because I was so focused on making a career. And actually, if someone asked me, like, who are you? I would say, I'm a dancer. Then now I know if someone says, who are you? I say, I'm Alicia. Right? And there's so many other parts to who I am.
Well, and besides that sort of, it's almost like you had a sense of self. That year of being, you know, away from the thing that you loved so much, the only thing you identified yourself with, that year kind of gave you to you, because you realize you're not just somebody who dances, you're not just a dancer, you're someone who dances, you're Alicia who dances, not a dancer named Alicia.
Exactly.
You know, it also gave you your husband.
Yeah, so after the year I decided, instead of trying to go back into the dance world, I was going to go to school, and I finished my time at Columbia University in 3 years, and I did meet my husband at that time. And when I finished school, I realized how much I missed dancing. And things had healed, and I thought, let me just try. I'll just do it for 1 year. If it doesn't work out, I have my degree. I had other interests at that point, and it gave me wings. You know, it gave me the freedom to then say, I have a choice. I can dance. I can work on Wall Street. I can be a wife. I can be a mother, which I'm now. Yeah, the time away, it was really a blessing in disguise. And when people would say that to me right as the injury happened and when I was young, I would just like roll my eyes. It sounds so cliche. But now as I've lived a little longer, I'm so grateful for the times that I had to step away from dancing.
Because now you know. It's not just something that somebody tells you. Now you've lived through it, and you know for sure that it's all a gift.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, there's one thing that we ask all of our guests to do. So this camera right here, this one, is your 13-year-old self. It's your teenage self. Pick an age as a teenager when you could really use some advice from the person that you are now. So you, Alicia, the head of the dance division at the Juilliard School after an illustrious dance career, has a chance to tell a teenage Alicia over there,
Okay.
something that you now know that you think might actually be helpful for her to know. Right there.
Okay. I can't look over there yet. I need to think about this. What was I like when I was 13? Alicia, I know you're still trying to figure out your body. The arms are gangly. The legs are still growing. The feet are wonky and all over the place, but you will find yourself. Not only your strength and the things that will allow you to shine and make your mark on the world, but you will find your confidence. I promise that all of the discomfort and all of the hard work that you're putting in now is not for nothing. The seeds that you're planting now with your discipline, focus, the rigor, being generous to the people around you, and learning as much as you can will serve you in your future. That's what I gotta say. It's gonna be an exciting one, I promise you that.
Our guest today was a dancer, an educator, a mother, an inspiration, a scholar, and just an amazing human being, Alicia Graf Mack. I'm Sergey Gordeev, and I'll see you next time on Ask the Expert.